this morning, we are also talking about some national coverage, including what is happening there in Ukraine. This morning, we have Professor Mikhail Alexseev, and he is a professor of political science at San Diego State University, taught there since the year 2000, and served also as the Bruce E. Porteous Chair. Professor, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. We appreciate your time this morning. I know you have a lot of research that you focused on and that you're working on this morning. What are your thoughts on what's happening overseas in Ukraine at this hour?
Well, we have the continuing war of Russian aggression and Ukraine defending itself. Russia uses huge firepower advantages. They launch several hundred drones and missiles at Ukrainian cities, mostly civilian infrastructure, every day. They launch 4,000 to 5,000 artillery shells at Ukrainian positions and villages, cities across the front line. They launch about 100 glide bombs that are a big problem, that weigh between 0.5 ton and 3 tons each, and that are impossible to knock down once they are released from the plane. So, and Russia also is pushing with its advantages in manpower. Ukraine is defending itself very valiantly. They are flexible. They are very determined. They have a terrific drone industry and production and innovation going on. They, of course, have our support and support of our allies. So that's what's going on there. And it's the continuation of Russia's war of aggression. Putin can stop it any day, but he doesn't.
And speaking of President Putin, what do you make of this upcoming summit that President Trump and President Putin are going to have in Alaska? Is this something where you think President Putin is kind of just dangling this ceasefire and really nothing's going to come of it? What's your thoughts?
Well, part of the answer is yes to what you said. I would also add that, we know that President Trump is a bold, audacious person. He has a determination to stop the killing, very noble, but it's a very risky endeavor to try to reach this kind of deal with Putin, because we have to, first of all, understand what is at stake for both sides of the summit. For Putin, the only thing he needs to do to declare the summit a success and even say that it's a win against the United States is to shake hands with Donald Trump and achieve nothing, conclude nothing of substance, maybe some platitudes, maybe some promises, but just kind of skirt around the issue. For Donald Trump to show that the United States actually has power and influence and heft, he needs to achieve something more concrete, like, for example, Russia's agreement to sign up to the 30-day ceasefire that he proposed and to which Ukraine already signed. So that is what's at stake. And we also should not forget who he is up against. 25 years of Putin's rule. He is a nasty, devious, and probably the most anti-American leader in the world. Of course, he's very crafty, very manipulative, KGB school, and all that. So there's a lot to confront there in Alaska.
So, Professor, there's also, there's so many headlines surrounding this conflict, right? There have been for quite some time, but the European Union had made their position pretty clear. President Donald Trump on Monday mentioned land swapping. Where do you stand with that?
Well, we have to understand that this is not a sort of black and white issue. A lot of Ukrainians, for instance, that I talked about in focus groups and that we interviewed in surveys in recent, since the war began, they actually say, it depends how this issue is handled. A lot of them, for example, would not want Russia to be rewarded, and the majority of them would not want Russia to be rewarded with capturing Ukrainian territory. But at the same time, they say, if we have a ceasefire and then we have a political dialogue and resolution, we hope that in the long run, we can get more territories back through economic pressure, through diplomatic efforts, and so on. So it's not such a clear-cut issue. So there is a possibility there. for some kind of deal and for some kind of solution. But ultimately, I think it depends on how convincing President Trump can make his case that Russia would suffer significantly more costs if it doesn't sign up to the ceasefire deal.
You know, speaking of that ceasefire deal, Professor, the fact that Vladimir Zelenskyy, there's no plans for him to be at that meeting, does that hurt or help him or hurt or help the deal? These international relations, it can tend to be, quite volatile. Is it important for him to be there or not? What are your thoughts?
Well, ideally, the fact that Russia is balking at having Zelenskyy at the table, and we're actually open to it. The White House said we're open to that kind of development. But the fact that Putin is against it is already an indication that he's not really interested in some kind of compromise, some kind of peace deal. And in fact, even the ceasefire, he puts conditions on the ceasefire itself.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time this morning, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. Mikhail Alexseev, a professor at San Diego State University, and we hope to have you on again another time very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that there is so much developing overseas, and especially come Friday, I think there'll be a lot more, developing, and we'll have more headlines.
Oh, sure.
Coming out of there.
You figure there's probably more pressure on President Trump to sort of get some sort of deal to come back to and announce rather than, like he says, Putin just is going to take the win that he's on a U.S. soil once again. It's been now 10 years since he's been on U.S. soil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's been some tension between the two as of late, too. So it'll be curious to see what comes out of this meeting on Friday.
Definitely.
They can, soften that relationship a bit.
Right.